What's up, guys, and welcome to what's becoming sort of an ongoing tradition here at Werner Von Wallenrods, where I catch you guys up and follow up on the ongoing tradition of Sacred Hoop, who you should be familiar with because I have covered them countless times on my blogs and vlogs, or just for their ongoing history in Bay Area, California, West Coast hip-hop. From the 90s is when they really, kind of versions on the scene and were really trend-setting on into the 2000s. And then even when Sacred Hoop was no longer a group, together anymore, their main frontman, Luke Sick, has continued to be even more prolific now than ever before, putting out like multiple albums a year. It's like insane to keep track of, which is why we got so much stuff to look at today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right into it. This first one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I already basically covered it in my last video. This is his album Luke Sick and Wolfogram, their album Jaguar. Like I said, I already covered that last year. Came out on Iron Lung Records. But when I talked about it last year, I said this is, the cassette version. And it's coming out on vinyl with some bonus tracks. And, well, now here it is. So this is the LP version. This is 10 tracks. This is 12. I'm going to just, again, so I'm not going to talk about the album because I already talked about it. So just catching up on the bonus tracks. These are full, proper songs. Sometimes an LP bonus track that's a kind of, easy way to throw on like a freestyle or a half-ass track or a partial instrumental or something that just wasn't good enough for the album. Not in this case. These are actually solid, really good songs on par with anything from the rest of the album. So you would definitely want to hear them. If you're a fan of Jaguar, you're going to like this even better. All the other songs from the cassette are on here. There's nothing missing. As you can see, it's in a full picture cover. Wolfogram, I guess, is more of a rock and roll, heavy metal kind of producer traditionally, but this sounds like pure hip hop kind of stuff. It's not like a Broham or Get the Hater, where Luke Sick is sort of more experimenting with rock and roll. This sounds like a hip hop album. They got DJ Raw B on the cuts and everything. And again, I talked about the album, so we'll just move right past it. So next up is the new album by Grand Invincible, Demolition Strictly. Again, obviously, full LP. Another really cool picture cover. Also comes with an insert here. Boom, boom. Grand Invincible is Luke's group with DJ Eons 1. At one point they were under Bucket, but then pretty early on they changed it to Grand Invincible. They've been releasing a lot of records and tapes and CDs and stuff over the years since like the early 2010s or maybe even before that. Prestige, I forget when that came out exactly, but it's been a long time. They've been prolific as much as, Luke Sick is just insanely prolific no matter what. They've done a bunch of stuff together. Sometimes Luke Sick will do like a group like Motel Crew, and it'll just be like a one-off kind of thing. Grand Invincible's been pretty steady. And this is a really solid album. A lot of stuff what Luke does is super limited, like super, super limited. Actually, the Wolfogram album we just looked at, that was 300 copies, so that's pretty big for him. This is even bigger, 300 on plain black and another 100 on purple vinyl. So Eons 1 and Luke Sick just have a real chemistry. Like, he's really got a solid production sound that's pretty hardcore, that really kind of suits Luke Sick without some, like, much more of an East Coast sound, which is maybe a little bit, as we'll hear, and some of the other stuff we're getting to is definitely more West Coast. This, less so. In fact, like, one song on here kind of really sounds like reminds me of like a classic Wu-Tang song.
Tearing off in the area. Enough dank to hotbox an aircraft carrier. Tearing off in the area. Enough dank to hotbox an aircraft carrier. You want a nip tuck? We elegantly rip gut. Scripts are ugly, they get flipped like a fish foot. Yo, modern styles are miserable. Like the prosecutor missed the Q, all evidence inadmissible. I had to bounce cause it was serious. Mark dumb tricks in the 1-6. I'm faking Jack's delirious. My squad has grandeur. Like Colonel Sanders. Spark the butter, repark the truck to the damn curb. Don't make assumptions when I mic clutch and I catch wreck. And when I jet, you'll be left with nothing. Luke's a handful and then some, no intervention. Just bow down and cower for my entrance. Schizophrenic off the dank, watch how we invade them. Slay them, disembowel them, and fold bank and the grand is invincible. E-O-N to the S, it's like one look, I'll melt your eyes. Tearing off in the area. Enough dank to hotbox an aircraft carrier. Tearing off in the area. Enough dank to hotbox an aircraft carrier. On the ground like a coffee bean. More is less and is best to be hardly seen.
There's a couple songs with like blaring horn samples. One has this really kind of funky, crazy organ sample that I really like, so I'm gonna play some clips of it. It's pure, like, it's not a concept album. Even song-wise, there are very few concepts on here. It's just like going hard in every sense, as you would guess from the image and the title, Demolition Strictly. That's exactly what this is. It's really dope.
This right here is that critical cinch funk, cause yo, this ain't your typical pit punk. Suckers think they slick in the shadow of the monitor. That bitch with the barbed wire bracelets. I'm on to her, got my stance like a b-boy pose and shit, cause I'ma kill the room just as soon as the coke hit. Song coming from the edge of my peripheral. Hit him with a force that made walking hella difficult. Another punk creeped up from the side stage. He tried to dive, caught nothing but floor space. PCP and that medicinal leaf cause a high-pitched scream like a piccolo P. I'll put you on the list. Luke 6, the drunk physicist, I'm pimpish. You punks are impish like Mixoplex. I use the mic like a mule kick, a pistol whip. Lames try to spit the same to gain a little bit. I spit raps that be causing a flash flood. I'm back, boss. Didn't have to squash the bad blood. You might have been where the cash was for that very short moment in time in the past, bruh. But right now, your pocket's flattered in fruit rolls. I rip the mic, then I'm out like two stoves. Luke 6 is an exceptional skill set. Some astonished at the props I still get. My penmanship scopes another memorable quote that'll leave your face sagging like you having a stroke. Holograms of the Holocaust you're living in. Eon's one, show 'em where the incision is.
Again, like I said, it's crazy how much stuff they put out. So this album came out since my last video last year, and blam, another full-length Grand Invincible album that has come out since my last video last year. So 2 albums just by this particular group in a year. This one's called The Result. This is limited to 200 copies. It's cassette only right now, but I do believe I read that a vinyl copy is coming up further down the road. It's a little closer to an EP, perhaps you could say, because it's like 11 songs, but like at least 4 of them are skits. Like there's an intro, there's an outro, there's kind of like a talking skit in the middle. So it's borderline, but I mean, like Fat Boy's albums sometimes were like 6-7 songs, and those are full LPs. So I mean, it's I'd say it's too long to be an EP, but it's on the line. So it's called The Result. There's, like I said, only 200 copies of this. And if this cover looks familiar, by the way, you're probably thinking of this Grand Invincible. This is a single from 2014. You see, it's not exactly the same image, but they're clearly related. This one is a little less on that pure East Coast, like strictly Demolition theme of Demolition Strictly. They've actually got a song with Meg Abusive on here, and his voice sounds incredible on this. This is, I believe, the first time Meg Abusive and Luke 6 have worked together since all the way back since the FTA days in the 90s. He sounds great on this, on kind of slow, funky, draggy track.
Heavy, Silverado Chevy, bed full of ice, 20 kegs at a pint.
You can find me with the 12-pack looking lost in place. Late model Honda CRV, the color of Kwanzaa cake. Double-fisted, eyes closed, talk to coffin face, and I'll demonstrate the rate at which I incinerate this resin
Get
shake.
in my boy's head to put it in the war chest. A life without fortunes blowing up like orchids. Speak with spite, tighten up the belcher. Meg Abusive, aka Stealth Melcher.
Luke Mega, full-time GURP stealth food proper. No refutable repute, still keep a leader in my locker. Often disputed, yet acutely resolute. Shoot that moot point elsewhere, blocked and alley-oop.
Camouflage car, black shirt, white skull, Bammer Bong Quad. Hammers off safe, Macaframa Lama got that afro tape.
There's one song with like really cracking drums and this crazy violin sample, which I can't decide if I love it or if I hate it. So I guess I'll play a clip of that one.
Get it on every time I get a beat from the arms. Live my life like going beyond. You ain't strong, and hang with suckers shooting shit in their own. Fuck with terrorists, blowing up the ambulance. Fuck tyrannicals, cause bitch I ain't an animal. Walk with a slight lean, on the scene attract fiends. Get that money that's green, fuck virgins, for Christians, cut like a surgeon. I'm sick, ain't worming, just motherfucking murdering. Calm torture, mind state, the worst of all. Stupid criminal, that's just what I am, man. I took the heart from the Tin Man, brain from the Scarecrow, courage from the Lion. Like the Wizard of Oz in reverse. My crib fell on the bitch and she left in a hearse. Money mean the most when there ain't none left. Gotta pull a little dick just to catch your bread, but then that lick goes south to put you further in debt. So you pull out the dick and put the world in check. Money mean the most when there ain't none left. Gotta pull a little lick just to catch your break, but then that lick goes out to put you further in debt. So you pull out the dick to put the world in check. This is words for a loser that's born in the cloud. Y'all do what I want, y'all do what they allow.
Like, he's got one song on here that's really cool called West Bay Propane, which has this kind of really distorted, like, broken samples in it and all. Not broken like broken loop, but just, you know, like they're punching out the levels or something. It sounds kind of crazy. So maybe slightly more, I don't want to say experimental, because it's not too out there. It's pretty traditional hardcore hip-hop. Like I said, a little bit more of the West Coast influences in this one. Even the title, West Bay Propane, that kind of tells you that.
I fucks with anything to bounce on the triple. I'm limping like a cripple out the house, just a little on the couch chilling, with remotes getting spliffy, waiting on a call to break mics in the city. But I'm in the cutties, making sustenance, stack a couple cents, but wouldn't call it hustling. Out on the redwood coast where beyonds let it echo, for the homies lost recent and lost a long time ago. Praises though I was listening to cable, guzzling a Cisco and early in the day, who strictly coming up as inclinations to wreck. Crazy unfazed when you're raised in a bag of meth. Both sides are one-on-one like a cocaine drive-thru. All you had to do was buy two, stop and get high too, till they creep up on both sides of your rival, leave you walking on Bay Shore hoping 5-0 find you. West Bay, propane. Clear your earwax, the W mean Warcraft, the E is for eat well, the S is for stay back.
And again, just like classic Luke Sick. I mean, Luke Sick has a way on the CP and on basically everything. I mean, he's mastered a career of this kind of really bringing his attitude to it. I mean, remember just even all the way back in the Sacred Hoop days saying lines like, I'd rather eat a hot dog than talk to you. I mean, it's just a way, and there's a real personality to him that keeps him going and as viable now today in 2022 as it was in 1998, which you can't say about many artists. But like, so he can even take a line then, like he has a line on here, it's sort of like, I keep it poppin', you're forgotten like GoBots, you know, like I don't think I would like that line in any other MC's mouth, you know, the pop culture reference to GoBots and all that kind of stuff, but he makes it work, he really sells it. So moving right on to the next one, we've got Dank Slob 4. Again, this is sort of rides the line between EP and LP. It's either a long EP or a short LP. Obviously, this is the fourth in the Dank Slob series. Dank Slob is Luke Sick with producer G Peck, who you probably remember from doing that album with Z-Man. This is definitely more on kind of a West Coast, pure West Coast vibe. But like, there's a song on here called Doin' 99 that has like kind of a real sort of West Coast G-Funk kind of feel to it. But more of an upbeat drum pattern and like a little bit faster, but definitely heavily influenced by G-Funk.
My belly fat tees right there, gripping crank. The amp kicks in and we release the pain. I wouldn't be Luke Sick if I didn't have dank. Or come out the pocket with a half pint of drink. We hit the gas station for some tars and a swish. Might get the munchies, so I caught the sweetest fish. Some girls roll up, they got drank in the trunk. They seem hella cool, no drama, no funk. My cell blowing up, it's a girl from before. She said, where you at? I said, we got off course. You see, I got a beat from my homie G Peck. We done with Thuggy Fresh, so it's no respect. We hit the freeway, put the pedal to the floor. Doing 99 straight, smoking in dope. Doing 99 straight, smoking in dope. Doing 99 straight, smoking in dope.
Another song on here is called Safari Hotel. It's actually sort of a double song or a split song. I don't know how you want to call it exactly, but there's two versions that come up at 2 points in the album. It's the same instrumental, no percussion, like no drums or anything. It's kind of a very smooth, tonal song. One's called Safari Hotel Luke Sick, and one's called Safari Hotel Flashes Clayton. And that's because each song is actually, again, the same instrumental, but a different MC performs it. And it's kind of short. It's basically like one verse, like a minute and a half. And it starts out with like the rambling dialogue of Brad Pitt from True Romance, you know, like he's the totally stoner character being interviewed by the hitmen and all. So that's kind of like this cool introduction.
Safari Motel. Yeah.
How do you know that? Have you been over there?
No, but they were here, and they said that they were going to go there, and they went.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fine. Hey, you want to watch some TV or something? You might be back here.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, be cool.
Chronic, no tonic, Hendrix gin, straightly laced, thunder bass. Rolling eighth up in the Garson Vegas, bumping all them Baytex. You know I got a gang at A. Baby wanted Tanqueray, said take your ass to Safeway. And while you're there, buy me squares, Newport box, not Marlboro. My face screwed up like a doodle stump. Bitch, this ain't the Cosby Show. Posted in a hooker house, toasted on the fucking couch. Brought the Volvo out for the slow-mo route. I'm rapping shit you weren't told about. Suckers all sold out. I'd rather hold clout, bruh. Bacardi in the fountain cup, at a party in the outcuts.
It ain't easy, still I pull it off with panache. Shotgun snap, bullet spiral like I tossed the pass. Joe Montana, John Elway, Dan Marino, team leader Stilo. I'm knuckle sandwich deli Nino. Black chrome trimmed 86 El Camino. Sipping fine cognac and lemon Pellegrinos at Lucky Chances Casino. Piece Tacoma. I'm hella juiced, killing loops in a self-induced reefer coma. Long before you see me, you can smell my weed's aroma. I'm leaving MC's headpieces hematoma with the surface of their epidermis burnt with ether ulcers. One unrehearsed verse is worth a key of Yola.
Other guest on here is QM, who of course is a regular collaborator. He's the other half of On Tilt with Lucic. They've released 5 albums now together, and QM also frequently appears on Lucic projects. Next up, we have a full-length album by Strike the Clutch. Strike the Clutch is Lucic's group with producer Damien. They've done a bunch of stuff together, and again, I've covered it all on my blog here. A couple like EPs, a couple singles. Each project is sort of wildly different. This here is a full-length LP in a very colorful picture cover, and on bright pink vinyl, as you can see. And limited to only 100 copies. In fact, that's true of the Dank Slob too. That's also only 100 copies. But on cassette, that's a little more common. On vinyl, only 100 copies of this, and 20 came with like a limited colorful obi. This album also has an appearance by QM, but basically it's just Lucic rhyming over Damien beats. This is interesting. This is an album when I first listened to it. My impression was this is an album that uses like a lot of classic old school beats and they're repurposing it. And to some extent that's true, but listening to it, multiple times later, I realized actually it's only a couple songs like that. They stand out because you say, oh wow, recognize that, and then you're listening to it and you're drug into it. Like even the intro to the album, they're playing vocals from the movie Death Wish, and it's all over what is it? Boom, 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 boom. Boom, it's Soul Clap. So I'm like, okay, Soul Clap right away. That's a really distinct, recognizable vibe.
Hold it right there. Right there. Hold it again. Hold it. Hold it.
Oh, come on, Paul.
One more.
You're not going to show those to anyone, are you?
Sure, why not? You got a prime picture. You really have.
That's a euphemism for fat.
There's no track where they're rhyming over. Basically, the instrumental to CPO's Ballad of a Menace and lots of other songs have also sampled. I think it's like an Isaac Hayes sample or something, but you'll recognize it from CPO. So those are the songs that really kind of stand out and say, oh, but no, there's actually a lot of original, interesting, unrecognizable samples on here too. So I'm going to play some clips from it and let it speak for itself, because I do want to keep it moving, because again, that's another full-length album. Boom, came and went. Like, that's what we up to, like 4 albums in a year now.
You got your veritable fucking snowstorms of cocaine and smack, whatever the hell else they shove in their veins. You got a worldwide crime syndicate now. There's no rules. There's no parameters. There's no feelings.
This is a catastrophic broadcast. Suckers with dopes rendered useless for combat. I'm being the boy to straight destroy, splinter the stage, enter the fray. Ronin gladiator, head fly, dome eviscerated, the result of the neglect, so they never see it coming. I'm the burglar, been bad at being nothing. Scandalous, psychopath, malevolent from A to Z. File on my sleeper cell at every federal agency. I hold the old gold in my lab, bumping beats. I dubbed up VHS as I excel cess in the dank skate, melting hash with a glue gun. And been accused of Satanism on blank tape, so I cop a corner spot
don't coordinate conquerings. While suckers overlooking for the bullshit they're sponsoring. There will be no begging for mercy while you're staring down a gun barrel. Flower light flashing in vignettes. Hollow threats dissolve under incantations of death spells. From lower levels of hell, and in time I combine it with rhyme so I can kill it with a smooth flow. This is Army Jackie Chew.
Sneaker Uzi, Bama Army jacket. Sneaker Uzi, Bama Army jacket.
I show up swinging on heaven's gate, no one's safe when I detonate. Piano string cut, flesh head twist off like a wing nut. The target was greenlit last week. Open the envelope to trigger the plastic.
Here's another one. I was actually all set, ready to make this video. I had my camera out. I'm like, gonna record this like a couple weeks ago. And as I'm doing it, I get an email. Boom! New release from Luke Sick. Pre-ordered it, so now we had to wait. We're here. We got it. Here it is. This is Thanks to Sweat and Tapes Player by Yeeler and Luke Sick. Yeeler is someone who I'd never heard of before, although looking back, he does have a few credits on a few earlier Luke Sicks, doing 1-2 productions and cuts. He's a DJ producer. He does everything on here, except the rhymes, of course, which is Luke Sick. This is like a short EP. It's like 5 songs and like one's an intro. Definitely really West Coast again, but with some East Coast hip-hop purist sensibilities to it. Yeeler is a DJ, so he does some nice cuts on here. Like there's a song on here called Raised by Rap Tapes, which is just kind of a homage. Well, it's a homage to being just exactly like the title says, Raised by Rap Tapes. But that song and everything on here is like lots of like player talk and, you know, pure kind of West Coast, the character of West Coast. And like I said, this is really short. This is like probably 10 minutes altogether. It's one of those that the programming repeats on both sides. So it's basically like 4 songs and an intro, and even the songs are like, you know, maybe 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes each, all kind of blended together. So it's just a tight little tape. But it's also cheap. Like, this is one thing that's great about these guys is they're not doing that, you know, $50, $60, $100 record kind of nonsense. Like, you know, you can get this for under $10. It's limited. This is also only 100 copies. And in this case, it makes more sense because this does feel like kind of a quick starter. But it's dope. It's as good as anything. It's not like half-ass songs or anything. It is really high-quality stuff. And again, I think the samples I'm going to play will speak for themselves.
Motherfucker in my hoodie was a meth head. Didn't say dead, but it was heavily suggested. Since it's a shitty game, I'ma smoke a fat one. Had to move quick, real slick, and doing action. Yeah, it's a shitty game, but you ain't really with me, mate. I'ma catch your ass straight slipping off the sticky dank shit. Was raw, but we never thought to polish it. It didn't trip off the squares in the colleges. Back to the hype, sucker jumped up on my fence. I don't play, so we left in an ambulance. You better fall back from where you came. That's just a message to you mark-ass lames. Luke Sick is a fool, we could rip it. Serve you with the slickest shit you ever witnessed, so stay cool. Mind your own and don't trip while I hit this lick. I'ma hit this lick and then that's it. 2 strokes and I'm out on a gangster route. I'ma hit this lick and then that's it. 2 strokes and I'm out on a gangster route. I'ma hit this lick and then that's it. 2 strokes and I'm out on a gangster route. I'ma hit this lick and then that's it. 2 strokes and I'm out on a gangster route. 2 strokes and I'm out. 2 strokes and I'm out on a gangster route. Any scumbag know exactly what I'm going through. Everything's cool, what I'm doing ain't new. Dressed in black, hope I never get my job back. I hear a lot of slump where the funk and the mob at. Smoke till a dank, erase my whole brain, so the punk police never get my name. Late nights mobbing, known to get hectic. Bumping Dre, dogging on P, living reckless. Roll up and fuck around no more. Gotta smoke a fat blunt before I step out dope. Not for the bitch shit, don't trip off a bit of rugged liquor drinker with his breath on hit. Raised by rap tapes, fear in a fat eight. Call me the best way to roll is a back way. Stay with a paycheck, never been faded yet. On dark days, I was raised by a tape deck.
So we squeezed that one in the last minute. We're finally caught up. But I called this video The Legacy of Sacred Hoop, not just like Luke Sick, for a reason. Because, and this is what I'm really psyched about, Verse Murphy is back, sort of, not really. Not new music, but they finally, get this, The Bachelors. The Bachelors is, of course, the legendary, unreleased, by and large, there have been like CDRs and tapes like sold on tour, but it's never been available anywhere else. There's never been a proper release of it. It's never been mastered. collaboration between Verse Murphy and Z-Man. It's a full-length album. It's like called Wine, Women, and Song. There's 12 songs. That's not exactly what this is. This is a 6-song EP. But it is 6 songs completely remastered, finally, from that album on here, released for the first time, as you can see, in a full fancy picture cover. Sounds great. I mean, this is it. We've heard, like, I'm sure if you're a fan at all of Sacred Hoop, Z-Man, Verse Murphy, any of these guys, you've heard The Bachelors. But you've heard it online, you've heard it on YouTube, or you've heard somebody traded you a tape of it in 1999. This is it, for real. It's finally getting released. And unbelievably, I didn't even know about this. And look at my coverage. Like, if Luke Sick comes out with something and anybody knows about it, it's going to be me. Like, me and the guys who work for GURP City. That's about it, right? So this got past my radar. This actually came out in January, 2nd of 2020. So it's been 2.5 years. And I just recently found it, jumped on it, partially because it's on a label called Melon Bin Records. And this is the only release. So, they came up with that label for this release. So, like I said, I followed Mega Cuts on Bandcamp. I followed their Blogspot. I had an accident. Because of Yeg War, I joined Iron Lug's Bandcamp, and now I get email every other day for heavy metal albums I could care less about. I'm just trying to track all this stuff down. And this came out so under the radar. There's only 200 copies of this were pressed. In 2022, this is still available. In fact, not only since I got it, but right before recording, I double-checked online. It is still available on their Bandcamp, so check it out. Melon Bin Productions, The Bachelors. Search for that, you'll find it. You can search for The Bachelors on Discogs, and they'll give you the label, although they don't have a direct link, but you'll find it. And I can't believe it. The world has been waiting for this forever. This is an amazing album, or in this case EP, because it's only half of an album. Z-Man kills it. This has, Attack and Slur, Spy Life, the classic songs, great cuts by Mars and Quest. It's an amazing album, classic Verse Murphy production, and Z-Man is an ideal collaborator. This is one of his best works. And because nobody knows about it, it's still they're sitting on it. Go out there. If you're watching this video and you buy one album this decade, get this record. Make them sell out of it immediately, so they released the second EP, the other 6 songs. I read on their Bandcamp, on their listing for this, they called this, they had already remastered, I think it said 8 songs or something. They called this a 6-song starter. So when they wrote that in 2020, and January 2020, they were clearly planning to come out with more. They're clearly planning to release the rest. But the fact that they haven't sold out, I guess, is why nothing has moved with that in the last couple of years. But this has to happen. I need part 2. You need both parts. This is one of the greats. You want to talk about Holy Grail, legendary, anybody who has an actual original Wine, Women, and Song, wow. But it's actually remastered here. It's on vinyl for the first time. So even if you have that, you want this. Again, slick picture cover. Comes with a couple stickers for Melon Bin Productions. This is amazing. So I'll play some clips, but who cares? Either you've heard it already or you don't even need to hear clips. Just run out and buy it. This is amazing. I can't believe it exists. I can't believe I missed it for years. So go out, get this. Get all these records. Honestly, I can recommend them all. They're all really tight. I know it's overwhelming, especially if you haven't listened to Sacred Hoop since the 90s, or maybe even at all. You're hearing about them for the first time to be holy crap. This is a discography of 100 albums at this point. How do I even jump in? How do I get in? And I'd say, you know what? Almost any point is a fine starting point. Maybe not Motel Crew. Maybe not Get the Hater with the Dwarves. But basically, almost anything. He is really consistent. Luke Sick's consistent. Verse Murphy was a dope producer. So you can go back to Sacred Hoop. Even their, 2000 stuff, or their 90s stuff, or basically any of these solo projects. Rhyme Force Most Illin is incredible, although maybe slightly atypical of Luke Sick, because it's more of an old school throwback. It's just all of it. Strike the Clutch, Grand Kilikon, Grand Invincible. Just dive in, and I pretty much guarantee as soon as you start listening to some of the stuff, you're going to hear all the rest. So that's it. Actually, no, that's not it. That's the end of this video, but I'm going to dig even further into this legacy in an upcoming blog. So look for that pretty soon. I'll probably squeeze something short in between, because when I'm reviewing 10 albums, it takes a long time. So I got 1 or 2 things coming up, and then we're going to come back and circle in on not necessarily Luke Sick or Sacred Hoop, versus Murphy stuff, but a further, step of their legacy that's going to be coming up real soon. So check it out, enjoy the music, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Give me a little tune to pep me up. Give me a little tune to pep me up. Blast away.
We accept food stamps while some accept tramps abroad. But Mickey and a drink and a dance, we advance. The way we think is hard to explain, cause I'm sick, diagnosed with ink on the brain. When I'm not sucking gin out your baby mama's nipple, I'm probably getting dumb until it tickles on the roof. With a fiddle as I giggle at you sweet pickles, grabbing and gagging, watching me giggle as you drown in the middle of some dope fiend pussy I lick with sandpaper. I usually use a razor just to get the extra flavor. Call me Saver, tooth tiger fighting with the neighbors who always leave traces. Vampires with braces, those with long faces just heard the tape. And crooked motherfuckers just got scared straight. Salutations, what jam is this upon the station? Everybody's John blazing while I'm Zamon grazing. You're raising just to let you know that you ain't Cajun. On occasion, I bust the flow to regulate them from projects to slave ships to slave whips to slave trips to being on the pavement to locally famous on stage where we bust like it's our last nut. And a pussy MC forcing him to get abortion. Yeah.
If you would notice.
Cup of tea.
If you would notice.
Beautiful redheads really turn me on. Freckles and all, I squeeze the carrot in hard. If I should say that on tape. Escaping fat girls who want to all over my bed, expecting me to follow up. Who the hell is bugging me while I'm in the wine cellar, drinking, writing romantic love letters? Hello and state your business. Ooh, it's one of my favorite misses. Ballin' like I ain't even heard before. Explaining how we can't see each other anymore. Cause my name sounds like something out of Iraq. My jewelry's too fat and I rap. My hair is exotic and her pops is jealous. Plus I got a bachelor pad with the fellas. They're sick of me always cutting school, coming over to visit you in your swimming pool. Freak, don't you have a mind of your own? Can't you tell your parents to leave you alone? Anyway, she's got a mission for me. Her father plans to take over the world. She's got a formula copy. She found deep snug in his den. He's got a poisonous drug that he's smuggling, and that ain't nothing. Just give me your G's for the mission. I'll kill him, but don't blame me for your dysfunctional family tripping. Cause you know I'm really not down with that. Anyway, too fly for words, too high for herb at times. Battle masterminds to get my dime. Crime awarded when I'm catching up. Spy life's my life, that's your love. Crime awarded when I'm catching up. Spy life's my life, that's your love.
Here comes the great Wooga with all.
The illest scientist is taking house calls. Y'all no more up in the alleyway. Looking burnt with briefcases, greasy face receiving pay. I'm living large. Suited and booted, about to pave the way to Sperm Man. I'm helping couples come together in this day and age. No more adoption, they come shopping for the DNA. I'm giving deals away. They're only throws away from having a perfect baby. They love and rarely hate me. I'm giving fingers to whoever who don't like the hustle. The whole community is mad and say I'm causing trouble because I bubble double. I'm mixing up like gumbo. Chemistry is my major. I measure sperm samples drop for every layer. I'm selling shots to astronauts who come and get a drop. Clone for clone spawns, twins, triplets, and cops. Police, savages, politicians, painters, and lawyers. Even doctors are making free orders. They wanna know the formula, recipe, ingredients, but it's top secret over you chicks and idiots. Go ahead and kill off innocent rats. I'm serious, I'm the Sperm Man. So come and cop your sperm.
What you do for a living?
Come and cop your sperm.
What you do for a living?
Come and cop your sperm.
What you do for a living?
Come and get your come and cop your sperm.
What you do for a living?
Come and cop your sperm.
What you do for a living?
Come and cop your sperm.
What you do for a living?
Come and get your I love my occupation. I got a reputation. 1,000 new patients. They're all procreation.